the Hague Group is what we're talking about. So everybody knows what the Hague. Well, not everybody knows what the Hague is. So the Hague is a place. It's a place. It's in the Netherlands. I forget
Belgium?
which city. No, not Belgium.
That's a joke.
Oh, okay. No, it's in the Netherlands, and I forget which city. Is it? I forget. Somebody. Anyhow, the Hague is the place where the International Court would hold its, has its meetings, if you will, when people are being charged with things like war crimes. So this is the place where the court is, and it's also the place where I believe the incarceration would occur. It has been a long time since we've actually had anything happen in this regard, but so this is a place that's in the Netherlands. It's the place where international law is supposedly, overseen, if you will.
Well, our country likes to ignore it, but
and here's the thing. So for the past 2 years, people would wonder, well, where is international law? Like, why is there? So the UN can't do anything, right? Why can't they do anything? Well, there's a lot of problems with the UN, and people probably realize that if they would follow the laws that we're part of, then it would be fine. But because we have the veto power, the UN it's a pretty weak infrastructure for really enforcing anything. Like, it can come out with all sorts of resolutions, but that doesn't mean something's going to actually be enforced. And so this is a big deal because this group, it's called the Hague Group. And I don't know if that's like their official name or just what the news is referring to them as, by the way, which is a group of, it says 12 countries, but there's actually more like 30 that are involved in this. And this group of Hague countries, including, by the way, countries like Norway and Spain. So it's not just what we would say are global South countries. These countries held a summit in Colombia, and that has its level. And there's a significance to that too, which is that the leader of Colombia has been has been speaking out against Israel for a year and trying to get things done. So that's where this starts.
If you could scroll down, Colin.
Do you want to read this a little bit?
You always want me to read it. A coalition of countries has announced at a meeting in the Colombian capital of Bogota that they will pursue accountability for Israeli abuses in Gaza, including by preventing the transfer of weapons to Israel. The two-day meeting concluded on Wednesday with 24 countries agreeing to 6 measures to restrain Israel's assault on the occupied Palestinian territories. So let's see what those 6 are. And the included countries are Bolivia, Colombia, Cuba, Indonesia, Iraq, Libya, Malaysia, Namibia, Nicaragua, Oman, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, and South Africa. We believe in protagonism, not supplication, said Varsha Gandakota Neluta, the executive secretary of the Hague Group. Today marks an end of an era of the impunity and the beginning of collective state action by governments of conscience. Founded in January, the Hague Group seeks to bring together countries from the global south, a loosely defined region of developing economies, to pressure Israel to end its war on Gaza and the occupation of the Palestinian territories. Among the steps announced by the group are the denial of arms to Israel, a ban on ships transporting such arms, and a review of public contracts for possible links to companies that benefit from the Israeli occupation. The 6 measures also included support for universal jurisdiction mandates, which will allow states on international bodies to prosecute serious international crimes, regardless of where they took place. And this would be, okay. The delegates here that have been discussing these measures for 2 days are calling it the most ambitious multilateral plan since the beginning of Israel's war on Gaza, you mean genocide in Gaza, 21 months ago. Al Jazeera correspondent Alessandro Rempiati reported from Bogota. The 12 countries that agreed to the measures, however, represent fewer than half of the 30 countries in attendance at the Bogota summit. And critics question how effective smaller countries can be in dissuading Israel from its military campaign, especially given the multi-billion-dollar support it receives from the U.S. Well, let's see how much longer that support lasts, because it doesn't really seem like our country, the populace overall, agrees with what's going on. I mean, I say to hell with Israel altogether, but that's a whole other story. Israel has given little indication that international outrage has slowed, like anything ever would, has slowed down its attacks on Gaza, even after experts at the UN and major humanitarian organizations compared its tactics to genocide. It is genocide. Israeli forces continue to displace Palestinians and restrict their access to food, fuel, and water. At least 58,573 Palestinians have been killed since the war began October 23. That is not true. As we have pointed out, a Harvard study has shown that at least 377,000 Palestinians cannot be accounted for, which means they're all dead.
Right. Nobody's going to, you're talking about a place the size of like Central Park. Nobody's going to turn up. I love when they talk about people that have not been accounted for. If you haven't been accounted for, you're dead at this point, right? Like, I think it's silly to be even talking about people that are unaccounted for.
You can only live for like 3 or 4 days without water. I mean,
all of it. It's just, again, this is a very small area. It would be one thing if it was like post, war, apocalyptic thing in a very big space and people could. This is a very small contained area. If somebody's missing, they're dead.
Agreed. While in a statement, the group set a deadline of September 20th for others to participate, a date chosen to coincide with the start of the UN General Assembly. Consultations with capitals across the world are now ongoing. Officials attending the summit also hailed the 6 measures as part of a larger effort to chip away at Israeli impunity. Good luck with that.
Well, look, it's all a start. Oh, God. It's all a start. It's all a start.
Ministers, the truth is that Palestine has already triggered a revolution, and you are part of it. Francesca Albanese, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories.
Okay, so wait, this is where I kind of forgot when I was giving the little intro about this. This meeting, this summit is in response to Francesca's report that we had talked about last week, where she was saying these, countries are going to be liable and corporations are going to be liable, and where she really highlighted the details of all of this liability. And so this is something that now a lot of these countries have been saying things from the start, but I think they realize that they need to actually do something.
Yeah. Well,
so that's what led to that. That was like the what prompted this.
Palestine has changed global consciousness, drawing a clear line between those who oppose genocide and those who accept it or are part of it. Albanese was recently sanctioned by the U.S. for her outspoken criticism of Israel's actions. The summit has become a symbol of the growing calls from non-Western nations, from world leaders, to enforce international law in Gaza, where critics say Israel has consistently flouted human rights law. Correct. Developing nations such as South Africa and Colombia, which co-hosted the conference, have been the forefront of such accountability efforts. South Africa, for instance, filed a case in December of 23, very early on, at the International Court of Justice, alleging that Israel perpetrated genocide in Gaza, and Colombia announced it would cut ties with Israel in May of 24 over its military campaign.
So essentially, these are the countries that have had a problem with it for a while. They've been saying something about it. South Africa was on it pretty quickly in terms of trying to get some sort of ending, accountability, something. And they went through their legal channels. They filed their case. They appeared before the court. Like, this is how things get to where it gets ugly in general, right? So they tried it that way. They did it that way. We vetoed the UN, the Security Council, 3 times. I think just 4, maybe 3. Like it's so the people are trying, but because of our mega hegemonic super hold on the UN, it can only do so much because of our veto power. See, that's caucasity right there. That's
Yeah, there's plenty of it to go around.
so this is they waited for a good year and a half from filing that lawsuit to realizing, yeah, they're not stopping. Nothing's happening. We can't get accountability. The UN isn't doing anything. So we need to go around them. So we're going to have a meeting in Colombia that isn't even isn't in Europe. And we're going to have our whole own meeting, and we're going to try to figure out what we can actually do. And honestly, you get enough countries together, they can do something. You have enough countries that have any sort of naval assistance to help get stuff through, and enough ships break that siege, break that blockade. You really, like, at this point, Israel would not be capable of taking on all of those countries in a naval war. Like, it's so absurd. And at some point it would just be enough is enough.
Well, I think enough is enough, and we're staring down the barrel of a deadly gun at this point. If not, again, you have to step up. You have to do something. And when somebody like Netanyahu wants to nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, again, that's caucasity. It's an insane maneuver, and I believe somebody is nominating Daniela. We're going to get to. We'll talk about.
We'll get to that
when Wally comes on. But this person, again, that's when you have impunity and you think you could do no wrong, or you think you could get away with anything. That's how this is going to happen. And that's why, particularly as it relates to Francesca, she has some serious guts to continue doing what she's doing. And this is a speech that she just gave the other day. We're also going to show you guys a very important petition to sign, because we are going to make our effort to help nominate Francesca Albanese for the Nobel Peace Prize. She is the person who absolutely deserves it, not these genocidal sick bastards.
And how absurd that we've sanctioned someone. We've sanctioned the special rapporteur, the special rapporteur from the UN for doing her job.
Doing her job.
It's so stupid. It's
very rarely.
We are ridiculous.
We are. Very rarely in real time do you see these things happen. Usually it happens years down the road. But in this case, I don't think Israel realizes what they're up against and how much worse this is going to get.
I want member states to distract their attention from where it should be right now, ending the genocide in Gaza. This is what matters. And then ending the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which is advancing at incredible speed. Look, these attacks, these sanctions, and what has preceded shall not be seen necessarily as an attack directed against me personally. This is rather a warning to anyone who dares to defend international law and human rights, justice and freedom. And I think that in the face of this, we cannot afford to be silenced.
The other thing you have to remember, and this is why, again, this is such a dramatic moment in world history, because there are going to be other instances that may pop up where the United States is going to open up their stupid mouths and say, oh, look at the crimes that this country is committing on so-and-so, and look what this guy's doing to that person. When you have been arm in arm with this genocidal, psychopathic nation and have completely scurried the law for 2 years, I mean, you've done it forever, but this is just so blatant and obvious in people's face. No one is ever going to trust you again. Your credibility is shot. And this idea that it's a Trump thing or a Biden thing, no, it's a system thing. The system's broken. And that's why anybody who was out there celebrating Kamala Harris, you need only look at the speech she gave at the convention to know that it has nothing to do with the party or the person. It has to do with the system, and that the parties are a joke, and that when you get right down to it, there's a reason why we don't have the things that normal developed countries have. That's the problem. And that's why Francesca is a hero. Because
She's just awesome. This is some real badassery we're watching right here.
Yeah. Oh, well, she without question is defiant, as it should be. And that's what makes her great.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not alone. At the same time, let me say, I mean, I really feel, and I'm very touched by the solidarity of the people who, from all corners of the world, tell me, we have behind you. What does it mean? Are you are you walking as an army of moral warriors behind me, or are you just hiding? Is expressing support toward me the best you can do to contribute to end this genocide, which has our fingerprints? So this is why I'm thanking everyone who's expressing solidarity and support. It's not about me, it's about the Palestinian people who are being genocided and erased from their land.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say we're having a Nobel Peace Prize contest, right? And we're going to compare this candidate with the next candidate that we'll be talking about that Israel has nominated for their Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, totally. We're definitely going to do that. But while you're here, guys, make sure, if you can, here is the page, nominate Francesca Albanese for the Nobel Peace Prize at change.org. It looks like it's got almost 32,000 signatures already. I believe you just need to put in Francesca Albanese's name, and you can go directly to the Nobel Peace Prize, or just go to change.org and put in Francesca Albanese, and you should be able to find this pretty easily.